Hello and welcome to Sault Online. Today we're at the Delta Inn for pre-budget talks. You just finished talking to the committee. What do you feel the most important items are that will help Sault Ste. Marie?
I think that there are 3 or 4 critical items that we really need to deal with in this community. We are blessed and are challenged by having the second largest steel producer in Canada. That capacity to produce steel in the country and province is at risk. Currently the market forces and financial conditions of the company and the industry are put Canada in a difficult position. The question for it is whether or not it wants to have steel production capacity in this country. That's issue number 1 for the province and Canada, but also very specifically for Sault Ste. Marie. So I've encouraged the budget to give that the budget committee to give that some serious consideration. Second issue is key strategic investments that will enable Sault Ste. Marie and the region to be more competitive. I speak of the port, modernization of the steel mill, addressing some of the issues that challenge the industry and able to be competitive. That's an area in terms of infrastructure we would strongly support. The other areas that we think is that this community is in transition. We had a very, very difficult year last year in terms of employment. We have major companies restructuring. This is the time for the government of Ontario to support the community.
You spoke of energy prices. Don't you think that this is a major problem for SR Steel with the prices they have to pay for energy?
I think that it is certainly what I would call an input to the production of steel that is difficult. Fortunately, they have some benefit offset by the fact that they do cogeneration, but in larger measure, the whole economy of Northern Ontario is impacted by high energy prices in spite of the fact that they do get support from the province. They have two provinces adjacent to it, Quebec and Manitoba, that offer far more competitive prices. It makes it very difficult for companies to want to invest here because they see the cost involved.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My presentation today keyed on the fact that privatizing public health care services is not just having a neutral effect, it's actually taking away from services for people in northern communities because of the lack of sufficient resources outside of hospitals. So as we cut services in hospitals, people are in more and more precarious position and desperate to find services for themselves. Waiting lists are longer, extra user fees are coming up that shouldn't be there. And so I think it's time that the government said enough is enough, restore funding to where it should be, and make sure communities in the north have the proper services that they expect. The problem that we find is that privatization of public health services is only introducing a profit motive and a profit margin into the limited funds that are available. So the result is increased user fees, and sometimes people are being charged user fees for services that they shouldn't be under the Canada Health Act that should be provided as part of public. So we're paying taxes and then getting charged user fees on top of it because of the profit margins that have to be met. That's a problem, and that's taking away from services. In the case of hospitals and home care, it's forcing the leadership of our hospitals to make very difficult decisions to cut programs because there's just not enough money coming back into the system.
Do you find that the energy costs is part of their decision to try and privatize?
Well, I don't know if it's just the energy cost, but I know certainly across the north, when I travel in the northeast, energy costs are increasingly a problem, putting pressure on all public services, and I would imagine so, particularly so in the hospitals.
What are your main objections to what the government proposes to do?
Well, even according to our Chief Executive Officer at Sault Area Hospital, Ron Gagnon, even by his own admission, the amount of funding to the hospital has been frozen for the last 4 years, and we're going into our 5th year. The citizens of Sault Ste. Marie and area are experiencing so many difficulties. We've heard so many stories and concerns with regard to health care at the hospital and long-term care that we have to make an impression on the committee behind me here to say that we really need to improve our funding to the hospitals and health care not only in our community, but right across the province. And we have demonstrations all over the province in order to impress upon the government that we need more funding and more support for healthcare in this province.
Okay, now the Sioux is going through a lot more problems than just healthcare. But with SR
There you are.
presumably shutting down, how do you propose to fix that problem?
Well, it's like we said in there, you can't pit one group against the other. The problem exists with this government having mismanaged funds, so that even by the auditor's report alone, if you take the amount of money that was wasted through the power plant fiasco, the Orange ambulance fiasco, e-health, if you want to go back a few years, those lost dollars alone add up to billions of dollars. So this government is now finding itself in such a huge financial hole that they do not know how to spread the money around to everybody. So they're pitting one group against another. That's the problem. But healthcare, as we all know, in any campaign, to any politician, is almost number one or number two in terms of priorities for citizens in this community and across this province. So healthcare, education, for example, are really top priorities, and they cannot ignore providing the funding and the support for those two sectors alone.
Okay. How can we fix Sault Ste. Marie through this upcoming budget?
Well, how do we fix it? We implore the government. That's their job. We elect these people in these positions so that they can assess situations, use taxpayers' dollars properly, so the fixes are in their hands. We're imploring them to look at these situations the way we've presented them and to bring out some solutions for us. If they can't do that, maybe we should be changing our government.
How do you think the meeting went so far today?
Well, you know, we're hearing loud and clear from the people of Ontario, and especially here in the Sault, that they're tired of these cuts. But we don't think the Liberals are listening, plain and simple. They seem to ignore it. They challenge the people who are presenting, and it's embarrassing for the Liberals.
Now, these people are keen on healthcare alone. There's a lot more problems than that. What do you think are some other major problems that we face?
We hear loudly and clearly here it's the cost of hydro. You know, your home hydro bill has gone up 4 times. You're paying 4 times the amount today than you were when the Liberal government took office. We have the highest energy rates in North America. We have 300,000 men and women who used to work in manufacturing who are gone because the Liberal government has created a high-cost regime and made it very tough for businesses to hire people.
Okay, here in Sault, we also have SR Steel going belly up. How do you propose we can help them or fix that problem?
It's a couple of things with SR. We talked to SR this morning. They presented at 9:30, and part of it has been the pension program, and to make sure that they can invest their pension money into the businesses more than they've been able to do so far. That's the problem that SR has brought up, is that they want to be able to have more flexibility. So I asked, are your pensions protected? So I think that's going to be a big concern with SR.
Okay, and the energy costs are also important where SR is concerned.
Yes, look, they are in an energy-intensive business, and when you've got a high-cost regime that Kathleen Wynne has created in Ontario, highest payroll taxes, the highest energy rates in North America, this is just, business after business we're seeing are suffering. We lost 2,700 businesses in Ontario last year because we've priced ourselves.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. Always a pleasure.